Good day, everyone. My name is Oleg Musteata, and I am the Growth and Experimentation Lead at Adasight. I work closely with startups and established businesses to help them design, run, and scale A/B experiments that unlock real growth. Whether it is fixing onboarding drop-off, testing new features, or optimizing conversion funnels, my role is to bring clarity and structure to the experimentation. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through how to design an effective A/B experiment using a simple and practical template we use internally at Adasight. This guide is beginner-friendly and is designed specifically to help you and your team to get started within the A/B experimentation. So, without further ado, let's dive in. As a key rule, before running any A/B test, it is important to define what are you testing and why. We use a standard experimentation definition template that answers the core question. So let's walk through each of those and break it down. The core document consists of four tabs: A/B details, metric data, A/B analysis, and annex. Specifically for this video, we only touch base on A/B details and metric data because these two are used to define an experiment. As you can see, we have some lines with information that has to be clarified as part of the experimentation. So, starting with observation. The observation is the definition of the problem or experience or opportunity that we want to work upon. This could be a higher churn in onboarding, low click-through rate, or a new feature that we want to A/B test. Hypothesis. The hypothesis is our educated guess what will be the change and its impact on the overall metric. Primary impact. This is the main metric that we want to improve upon. Secondary impact. This can be any other metrics that are directly affected by the experimentation. Insignificant impact. As you know, any experiment can have successful impact and insignificant impact. We want to know for sure what are those, specifically if a variant has, let's say, a successful result, but the improvement is not that impactful for us to make it permanent. So those are also being defined. The negative impact. An experiment can go south at any moment, so we need to know when to pull the plug and stop the experiment. So we define the condition as well. User journey. The user journey is what we do in order to have a clear understanding what is the control and the variant experience that the user is passing through. This way, it gives us a clear understanding when and how we need to track what events in order to have a clear understanding if we are hitting the right metric or not. Events. This is the list of the events that will be tracked as part of the experimentation. Usually, we can define the list of existing events that are currently present in the control experience and also add new events that are present only within the variant. We define those here. User properties. User properties, we use it to define the user property, which is the experiment name and the value, which will be allocated to the user property within, in our case, amplitude. That way will allow us to have a clear understanding of the name of the experiment and the variant that has been assigned to a specific user. And experiment trigger. The experiment trigger is the definition or the condition that we need to understand or know when the experiment will be assigned to a specific user. In some cases, the experiment is assigned when accessing a service, for example, a web page or a mobile application. The anonymous user is automatically being assigned to either to a specific experiment, control, or variant. Or we can define a condition, say, for example, a user needs to trigger a specific track event before he will be assigned to the experiment. So we usually define that in advance. With the information in the A/B details defined, we can move to the metric data tab. As the title suggests, we'll be looking more at the numbers themselves and some additional details specific for this experimentation. As you can see, we have preserved these three lines from the previous tab. It gives us easy navigation, let's say, not to have the necessity to go back and forth for each of those tabs. So we keep those the free ones on the top. As part of the experiment, we define the regions, which geographical areas will be eligible for experimentation. Assuming that we want to run an experiment to one country, for example, US, and keep rest of the world outside the experimentation, we usually define those countries. User types. We define the segmentation of the users who are eligible to be assigned to an experiment. Let's say anonymous users or free registered users, or users who are having a paying subscription. So we define those user tabs. Duration is straightforward, the start date and end date for the experiment. Now, the interesting part. Every experiment, we suggest having a clear fixed cohort split, 50-50% for control and variant. But in some cases, when there is the necessity to have a different split, that can be also defined within the experimentation as well. We usually allow those to be added within the document. Of course, percentage is one thing, but what are the exact numbers of users that are being allocated to this experiment? There are multiple ways how to calculate the traffic for the experiment. The majority of A/B testing tools have this functionality as a default, but in case if your A/B testing tool does not support, there is multiple free online tools that can help you understand or define what is the total numbers of users that needs to be allocated for the experiment. Now, the user journey. Similar to what we discussed in the first tab, the high-level user journey, here is what we define specifically for the control experience. This is something that we would want to test upon and see what is the current user journey, how many users are going through the funnel, and how many hit that primary event that is used for tracking the key impact or the primary impact. When we have these steps defined, we have an understanding how many users go through the top of the funnel and how many complete, and what is the current conversion rate for that specific experience. Using this number, we will already define what is the expected impact of this experiment. So we have the primary impact and secondary impact. These are specifically based on the existing control experience. So assuming that, let's say this is going to be step 4. Step 4 is our primary impact. We know the number, and this number is the control one. Using this section, we can set what is the minimum impact of the experience. Let's say, let's do a little bit of adding some numbers here. Okay, let's say the default experience has a 20% conversion rate. For us, the primary impact is that we want to see that improvement over the control to be 10%, or the maximum would be 30%. And we automatically see what is the numbers of users that we are expecting to hit the event, the primary event, that will be used for tracking the key impact. So we have the minimum value, we have the max value, and the possibility to automate those numbers. The same is being used for the secondary impact. We know for sure which one of these is a secondary metric. We define the percentage of mean and max value, and of course we will see the numbers as well. Having that gives us a clear understanding on the experiment. We know who is eligible for which region, what is the duration, what is the cohort split, what is the current experience that we want to improve upon, and of course, what is the primary and secondary metric. Of course, percentage-wise, and actual numbers of users that are being impacted by this change. Designing a good experiment isn't just about changing a button color or running a test for the sake of testing. It's about being clear what you're testing, why it matters, and how you measure your success. This template brings structure to the process, and trust me, it will save you a lot of time and confusion down the line. If you're just starting with experimentation, I recommend bookmarking this video, sharing it with your team, and using it as a checklist before you start the next A/B test. You can also check our blog where this video is embedded with a downloadable version of the experiment definition template. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments or feel free to reach out. Thank you for watching. I'm Oleg Musteata from Adasight, and see you in the next video. Cheers.